victories the entire way through. So maybe Humble Life Esports have given themselves a chance to get towards silver scrapes here. But as far as the play is concerned, I agree with you guys. I feel like T1 has just been that little bit ahead, even with how incredibly close a lot of these games have felt. It has always been T1 finding that edge, finding those big leads outside of a bit of a throw in game number 1.
And this seems like it's the exact same bans from game 1. They're banning the Ashe instead of the Lucian here. It was Rek'Sai that was banned by T1 in game 1 in this one, but maybe they go in a different direction. Obviously Lucian left open now. Could end up seeing a trade between those though. But I mean, I feel like that would be more of a factor if Boomer showed, even though it's not obviously a champ he's really comfortable on, he showed he can play the Zeri side of the matchup. So if Lucian Army does come out for Humble Life, I think T1 is still fine.
Yeah, I think if you ban the Lucian here as T1, you end up getting Zeri'd. Now they're saying, we're taking away the Vi, so if you want to lock the Zeri, or if you want to lock the Lucian, we'll have the Zeri answer with no Vi available. Now, the first pick Azir here is very flexible, and they want to see, I think they're testing T1. Are you playing Lucian? Are you brave enough to play the Zeri? You have to take the Nautilus with the Zeri here if you do lock that in as T1 right now, otherwise Delight will be happy to play it. We'll see. Tough decision to make here from T1, I think, not expecting this Azir first pick. And they'll go Varus. They're opting out.
Yeah, Varus not with the Ashe this time around, of course, one of Carrier's favorites. We'll see what they do lock in alongside it, because you were talking about Nautilus. I think it's probably a bit of a good idea.
You could go Nautilus, you could also threaten the Rumble as a potential.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Either here or on 3. If they want to play it safe, they could just, I mean, they're going to go for the Tilly here. I was going to say they could take like a jungler here, but they'll go for that matchup in the Azir. Obviously something people have felt comfortable picking. And now Hanwha might end up just going for the Zeri, so this could be punished heavily. Varus already a pick that's going to have prior and pressure on Zeri. If you pair that with something like a Rumble, you could have a bad time. And being on red side, T1 have all the power to counteract whatever Hanwha Life block in, but they just go to secure the Rek'Sai.
They prioritize the Rek'Sai over the Nautilus here, so don't go Zeri Nautilus. And this means if you want to get the Rumble, it's a little bit of a tougher call. You don't necessarily know what the Zeri is going to be playing with, but it feels pretty good into almost anything right now.
And as well, it's good in the Rek'Sai. We've seen it be one of the champions that can actually bully out the Rek'Sai. So if you end up picking up here, it has a lot of flexibility, but we'll see. Looks like they might just secure the Nautilus themselves and into the Zeri. This is a phenomenal pick.
And Keria has been, even though he hasn't played it as much recently, I think has been overshadowed by a lot of other Nautilus players, especially Delight. He is a great Nautilus player. He always has been. And I think this is a very strong pick here for T1, and maybe a bit of a mistake to give Doran the Rek'Sai when they've already shown they have the answers to it, including the Zac that we saw there in game 2 that Zeus played incredibly well. So not 100% a big fan of the way that this has been started off for Hanwha Life.
Yeah, Twisted Fate going to be removed here though. The Rakan taken away from Delight, making sure that he has as little comfort as possible.
That feels weird to me because I feel like into Talia already, into Talia, Varus Nord, that doesn't feel like a fun game for Rakan. A lot of people respect ban the Rakan from Delight, but I feel like Rel would have made more sense as something I'd want to ban here. Less bothered by the Unraveled Ears because you kind of just tank your way through it.
Yeah, I think the Alistair is another example of someone that does struggle into the Talia quite a lot.
They did take away this Zac here. They just want to take away, it looks like, just champs that Delight has been known for, right? The Alistair is 2-0 on in playoffs. See what that final pick for Zeus is going to come out to be, as Xin Zhao will be locked in for owner. I'm going to find out now what the read is here for what Delight should play into this. Losing the Alistair, Nautilus taken away. Hasn't been put in this position too many times. The Rel, seen this a lot. You know, he's very comfortable on this pick. We saw it already in game 1. How much of an impact he can make on re-engages.
Some of the highlight plays from him in playoffs have been on this pick. So definitely something he's very comfortable on. And as for the jungle pick, there's still a decent amount of options open available. Sejuani is on the cards as well, although maybe at this point Peter's sick of playing it. Does pair well with the Rek'Sai though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I actually feel like leaving the Sejuani up and available is kind of something that could be considered an oversight, but Humble Life Esports taking a lot of time figuring it out, and Nocturne's the decision.
I was going to say, it could be Jungle Rel as well, and then they've got the secret plan for Delight here, but no, it is just going to be the Nocturne here. Doesn't spark joy in terms of the synergy with mid lane. You know, we see this a lot with Orianna, obviously, but it is very strong in terms of setting up team fights and really weakening the Talia pick. As, okay, we saw this once before.
He's gonna lock it! Zeus in game 4, match point for T1, and once again it's the Vayne, this time around into the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, he says, if I'm not getting a blind top pick, I'm playing Vayne. Those are the only two things that happen. I either blind a strong top pick or I R5 the Vayne. That's who I am. My name is Zeus. And it's obviously going to be pretty strong in isolation into the Rek'Sai, but it can be very risky into this composition, especially if shut down early.
I feel like one of the things with the Nocturne and the Rel, you know, it's a lot of threat onto an immobile carry. But if you commit everything onto Guma, it's not going to happen realistically.
Consistent damage as well. Some tank shred, things like that. Certainly good news. Let's dive into the Rift for game number 4.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Wow, the T1 cries are deafening here at the KSTO Dome.
A roar, not a cry, you know.
Yeah.
Very, very, very loud crowd.
Well, that is a Christmas tree in the river.
And if someone's moving around very, very fast, well, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Yeah, Doran getting full information, so they can invade here on this bottom side if they would like to, on Armalite Esports' side. Taking a little bit of time here for Delight to get on down there.
You know, should be fine. We'll speed up to get away. Just want to see if we can get some additional information and potentially deny some backs. Going to be totally fine to get away there. The impact that Xin Zhao can make in this early game that a Nocturne cannot, I think can almost not be overstated either. Obviously pre-6, it's going to be tough for Peanut to get big advantages. He will be able to punish the Vayne if she is alone topside pushing very hard, but that is why, of course, you will see Owner play around topside here. You already have the Varus in bottom lane. So going to be a very comfortable early game here for Zeus, assuming that
Whoa, there. There's a big old hook to connect there onto Delight. Carrier's Aftershock does wear off first, but Delight also going to take about the same amount of punishment here.
Yeah, I also love the decision from Doran to reset and get the super just to clear out that ward. So Armalite Esports have information advantage. One thing though, even though as far as tank top laners go...
Whoa, another one. As Carrier going to be able to get a whole bunch of CC flash out from Delight, who's also lit on fire.
Yeah, this is one of the dangers of going the Q level 1 rather than the W. You don't have that ability just to disengage from a fight there. And, you know, you have a Varus into a Zeri, you're going to have a lot more power in those early levels. T1 definitely working with that. And kind of thing I was saying in the top lane is obviously Rek'Sai does a decent job of surviving compared to like most tanks that are a range matchup, but it does limit your ability to ever stack grasp. So you see them not taking the grasp. We've seen Aftershock in challenges. We're seeing Fleet Footwork now, but losing a bit of that extra health you would gain otherwise.
Definitely true. Owner be observed here, just clearing his jungle right now, not hovering top side, as obviously Peanut isn't going up there. It started top himself and will be coming down to the bottom side. So Vayne going to have free reign here for Zeus to continue to push this lane, and Doran cannot really do anything. He's not going to be able to answer this. Blind pick completely punished and no attention given. This Nocturne doesn't feel great at shutting anything down early. So bottom side is losing, top side is losing, and Baker's got to push in mid.
And Doran just missed a cannon.
And he just missed it. It is an absolute disaster across the board here for Armalite Esports. We have seen, you know, top laners be put behind very considerably in the early game and still manage to be useful as the game goes on. That was relative. Yeah, that was relative. Yeah, happened relatively recently, one could say. But that was on the other side of the matchup. Zeus definitely demonstrating his resilience. We'll see whether Doran can show his as well.
And honestly, you know, we saw that big level 1 invade on the top side by T1. I wonder if that was them scouting out to make sure a swap didn't happen. Because when I look at these lane matchups top and bottom, I feel like Armalite Esports could have gotten away from them. They definitely would have taken the option, but they didn't go for any setup for that. And now this is kind of more akin to what we've typically expected from T1. A bot lane 2v2 where they are winning and they're comfortably ahead, and a top lane matchup where Zeus just gets to kind of have his way with his opponent.
And the problem with Peanut picking this Nocturne is he is one of the only meta jungle champions, and he's fringe meta as well, normally paired with picks like the Orianna, which they do not have, where you can't affect either of those winning lanes at all early. And he's just going to be sitting back and farming, trying to get 6 as fast as possible, but the damage by then will have already been done, as you can see in the 500 gold lead, 600 gold lead that T1 are hovering right now. As Peanut will be seen as well on this rotation up top side is instantly pinged. And once again, no impact for the jungle player here for Armalite.
Yeah, full information also goes over to the ward positioning as well. Just not exactly the greatest of situations.
Another cannon.
Oh no, Doran.
We've talked about how this player can be sometimes emotional in these best of 5s.
I would be emotional after that, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I am emotional after that. As Carrier is not going to quite find too much there with that hook. Not even entirely sure what the goal was there, but it's fine. He is able to just wander his way out.
Yeah, I mean, bot lane 20 CS down is going to be able to pick up a little bit from this wave here. Top lane 10 CS down. It's just a rough, early spot to be in. And I feel like the call just has to be, let's just try not lose the game before level 6. A lot of power given over to Honor Life Esports side. Obviously, the Nocturne can start to make an impact, but the game is quickly slipping out of control. And really, for T1, I want to see them pushing as much as possible to set the pace of this game. You can see already Onus starting up this dragon.
Faker has Cryo mid, has level 6. There's just no way that T1 could do anything, or rather that Hanwha could do anything. And Peanut is not really a champion that can impact anything except taking these grubs counter-wise. At least he's going to be able to get that, and with the full information, he should be able to get all 3.
Yep, does also, manage to get towards level 5. Level 6 going to be on the cards. As you can see, Doran, he has managed to make it there. With the back coming in from Zeus, doesn't get to take teleport, of course, on the Vayne. You do want to have as much mobility as possible on this champion. And so therefore, while he was back, Doran's able to equalize the lane just a little bit.
Some mid-roams trading here. We'll see who ends up getting the better of this one. Faker goes back.
Yeah, Zeus going to move on up as okay. Flash still available here as nice condemn into the wall. As Zeus gets himself the fleet footwork, and he is absolutely out. Still, Ghost had to be invested. Nocturne's position not actually given away, I don't think, in that little exchange.
I mean, Faker still has Weaver's Wall, and I would argue that a Rek'Sai getting some pressure on this top turret versus a Varus getting it and denying farm from Zeri, definitely advantage T1.
Yeah, I could see that argument.
I think Doran just equalized the lane, whereas Yuma just feared the lead significantly. And especially a pick like Varus who... Oh no.
Oh, there's a knock-up as the flash forward from Kerry. Immediately, Doran's like, nah, ain't dealing with that one. He is going to be able to flash his way out. But
like
still,
it's
flash for flash.
All lane, you're getting harassed, and you're like, finally, a window to jump on his Zeus. Well, actually that's because Kerry is there, so... unlucky, Doran.
A bit messy up here, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely set up some tunnels in the vicinity.
Yeah. He has to be very careful about which ones he clicks on, because... I don't necessarily know where that network is going,
I'm just really trying to figure out the full reasoning behind this Nocturne pick. And it's going to disrupt team fights. Obviously, it could be good to shut down the Vayne early. That's the one lane where maybe they could have been able to do something with a fear, or at least draw the condemn, and then maybe Rek'Sai gets a knock-up. There's some angle there in the early game, but otherwise... just not it. We've seen Peanut pick these in best of 5s across the last few years in some of Gen G's tougher times before they end up getting the back-to-back-to-back. Like the Kha'Zix pick where we're like, Peanut, I'm not sure about this one.
Hey, he always won on the Kha'Zix pick, though. It was weird.
Yeah, but, this one, I don't know if he's going to be doing the winning. Right now, a little bit of a rough start here, and now he has level 6. Now he has the ability to impact these lanes and make ganks happen. Needs to get it done quickly.
I feel like one thing is that normally with an Nocturne, we're always looking at the first ult, how much impact does it make. I feel like that's exacerbated so much in this game where you haven't had the impact and your lanes have been bleeding. If your first ult isn't impactful and it ends up backfiring, maybe you get counter-ganked, the game is probably just over.
Yeah, you just ganked for the enemy team basically if you fail it.
You can see Doran's actually able to stay even in farm, which is kind of nutty. Of course, a lot of attention given towards that top side. That roam up from Zeka, very important as far as that is concerned, but it has somewhat equalized the gold. Only 400 the lead here for T1.
I think as well, Vayne obviously later on will shred through any tank really, but kind of early levels for Rek'Sai, your passive heal is quite a bit lower. It's kind of about this point where it starts to gain just a bit too much for Vayne to cut through. Obviously later on, Vayne will shred anything, but I think this is where Doran can really survive. So Honor Life Esports allowed Doran to get to this point, but again, the sacrifice was Viper on this Zeri, who is going to be behind the curve and has big item spikes that you want to hit.
I think Zeka has to be the hero of this game now. He has to have some great team fights where Zipper's Divide allows Viper to catch up on the Zeri. Kind of like how Guma was able to pop back after Zeus was put down in the lane swap in game 1. They didn't ultimately end up winning the game, but he was able to get a ton done on the Zeri.
Oh, they have spotted that Gumushi is possibly alone. There's the paranoia as Peanut dives in. He flashes on top of the CC. He's going to be there. The Crescent Guard too good from Ona. He's just going to get them out of there. Zeka will turn up. They do manage to take down the Varus, but the Zeri, nothing she can do, and T1 will win the scrim.
And what did Ox just say? The first gank, the first attempt completely backfires. And as soon as I saw the paranoia come out and then things go dark, I had question marks over my head. Is this even work out? You don't have Prio, you don't have control. And Delight will get taken out here as well. No exit.
He's up. Well, I got a little bit confused. I looked over at you, Wolf, and then I'm like, wow, he's flashing under a turret. That was his turret.
Yeah.
You could tell.
So Delight really dead.
You could tell from how the paranoia actually went. The HLE esports were a little bit like, do we actually want to go for this? But it's like, look, if we don't get something from this, it's going to be really bad. And then they commit, and you know what? It went worse.
It went worse?
If you just held off, if you got luck, we got his flash, got his cleanse, take that small victory instead of giving 3 kills over, because now they are really in the hole.
You have a team that has so much built-up synergy, right? 7 out of the 8 last finals they've been in here, and HLE Life, on the other hand, some pre-existing synergy from Gen G, but Peanut flashes in for this to try to get into Delight's engage range, and then he's just crescent guarded. Then Zeka, watch this. Looking for Guma here, does get the ult, gets the kill, but isn't able to impact the rest of the fight. Will have to flash himself to get away, and Delight is just a lost cause in that moment. And if everybody's on the same page, if you're set up a little bit faster for that, maybe you actually get 3 kills and you walk away the victor, but this didn't have enough control to press R a second time when Peanut went for the paranoia. Backfires completely here, and the shot calling really amiss here, the draft, giving Hanwha very little agency, very little options in this game.
Well, I mean, that was their option, right? Like, this was the fight that they needed to kind of win. T1 read them like a book. They're now going to be able to take themselves a Drake. They'll convert that into pushing ever further in side lanes. And speaking of which, now Zeus, with the fact that HLE esports are going to be so distracted putting out fires elsewhere, he should have free reign.
The thing is, if they'd just taken the sums, they could have fought that next dragon. You know, Peanut's ult was coming up, and they could have targeted Guma without any summoner spells from a more even state. But by making that play, by backfiring, they were just in too much of a deficit to contest. So now T1 have nearly a 2,000 gold lead and have those 2 dragons in pocket. With it being a Mountain Soul, you're already struggling to take out these critical targets. Add that shield in, and yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider the Mountain will at least be pretty good for HLE if they can start stacking those up. The Rek'Sai is going to be unkillable. Can be something that is a big boon for them later on, but right now, I'm not even seeing dragons in HLE Life's near future or later future. You know, stacking those up would be the dream scenario, but right now with absolutely no control, behind so massively, basically across the entire map. You know, I don't want to call this one over, and the first game was so back and forth, so exciting. The second game a little bit went outclassed from T1 game 3. Felt like things were a little bit worse even, and now in this one, feels like just a whimper from HLE in terms of this draft as well. A small lead for Zeka here is all they've got.
Yeah, he's managed to pick up the kill that HLE esports have managed to collect. Certainly good news if you are a HLE Life fan, but he's going to have to put the team on his back, and it hasn't been his day. And he is a player that has required a day. Now, that was a decent sidestep there from Gumayushi, but there is no way he's surviving this one. Peanut able to lock one down, and so there is the first one for the Nocturne. Good news.
Wow, it's pretty easy to kill a Varus without flash, you know? Maybe if they'd planned around that, then could have been in a better position than now. But at least they are making use of the summoner being down and get something out of it. Obviously not really able to translate that into anything right now, but at this point you'll take anything from HLE Life.
Yeah, a bit of a lane swap here as well, not the level 1, but coming through here from Viper pushing into the Vayne here. A lot of lost minions in mid for Faker has to respond to this bottom push after the Varus is taken out. Could even be a plate that might go over to Zeka here if he can get into range in time. So that passage of play is one step of many that HLE Life will need to do to get back into this game, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, showing signs of life, and I think that is important because what we've seen is, like you say, Wolf, a little bit disappointing. After they sort of stole away the first victory in this series, didn't quite run with it. With a win here, Game 5 could be absolutely anyone's, as that's a nice seismic shove onto Doran. Doran just gonna, eat through Fury, so just fine. Just Rek'Sai things, everyone.
Coming into this series, for me, the big thing was T1 looking a little bit shaky, even in their 3-0 win against D+, obviously getting 3-0 by HLE, beaten by HLE in regular season as well in round 2. And it felt like the fundamentals were just stronger for HLE Life. And then in game 1, they reinvented. They went for the lane swap early, and that gave me hope that in this extended best of 5, they were going to have some cool reads, but it just has not been the case. Like this Nocturne pick, a big hole in draft as Carrier going in.
Yeah, the hook does come on down there as they do get a stun. Carrier just all by himself, and he's really dead, guys. We'll see whether HLE Life esports can turn this into any extra of a kill. They give the kill over to Zeka there.
You know, I really question whenever this happens, but it's been a bit of a consistent theme, especially since the champion has only shown up recently. but trying to kill a Rek'Sai in a side lane has just time and time again proved to be very difficult and often just backfires. So maybe not the best, especially with how deep Carrier was. Really, you didn't have to commit to that play.
No, definitely gonna have to agree with you on that one, Ox.
Yeah, I'm not sure about about that one, and neither was Carrier as the play went on. Unfortunately, they weren't able to quite get there. Zeus given some spare time here towards the top side. Certainly good news, has moved up about 10 CS.
And, you know, I was going to say, and I did mention earlier, that I think Zeus is the one that has, or rather Zeka, excuse me, has the most agency in this game on this Azir, and he can maybe set up to get Viper back in this game. Now he has 2 kills, picks up a blasting one here, so decently ready to fight this next dragon. If they can actually get here and contest the prio, no teleport available right now, but if he can have a good Emperor's Divide, and we do see Viper end up getting some kills here, I think there is a way back into this game. This is a critical pick here. Not really a ton of respect there from Gumayusi, unfortunately. And then here, not enough respect for how tanky this Rek'Sai is, Peanut being nearby. Yeah, just a bit of a bizarre choice here. They do get Zeka's teleport out, which she doesn't have for this upcoming dragon, but they'll be happy to take the kill in exchange.
Yeah, it might have been the teleport that just made T1 say, well, sorry, Carrier, you're dead.
Yeah, you're a sacrifice. I feel like maybe the communication could have come easier, because I'm pretty sure Owen saw Peanut coming down.
Yeah.
Maybe should have signaled back off now. Dragon's up in 20, but they're actually setting up for the Herald here.
Zeka's not here, doesn't have TP, so this is definitely advantage T1 as he's trying to rush his way over.
Hanwha, you can just give this up and go for the Dragon instead.
Yeah, Weave as well, coming on through as Faker going to join the rest of his team. Doran just watching, well actually not, tunneling around, burrowing.
Guys, just go Dragon.
Oh, here's another possibility as the Magnet Storm comes on down. Chains of Corruption are not going to be enough to stop this one as Viper gets his first. Carrier is now in the back of the pit with absolutely nowhere to go. It's a double as the burst fire rains down. And I don't know, Wolf, like, do you have the pin out?
I mean, I got the pin out certified. You know, they did not go quietly into that bottom side dragon.
Yeah, you know, I was like, guys, take the free Dragon. They're like, you know what, we'd like a little bit more.
I think T1 thought,
Zeri.
I think T1 thought they were going to be pushing towards the dragon as well, and it's not the way I thought it was going to happen with Zeka, but it's in fact Delight who makes the clutch play there with the Magnet Storm engage, gets Viper those 2 kills, and that is a very scary thing for T1 here. Is now a gold lead for Hanwha Life. The early game so much in T1's favor, but some overextension, some small mistakes, and now Hanwha back on the board here, and with this Shiv completed, it's going to be really easy to sit in mid and farm now. Zeka does have his ultimate, so Observer's kind of tripping me out here for a second. Whenever you have these little zooms, I'm like, what's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. Carrier's a little bit late to make anything happen down here, but you know, game stayed a lot better than it was moments ago.
With so much gold being on Guma, I feel like we're going to have like a little bit of a repeat of that HLE game where like Viper just couldn't do anything against the Zac and the Sejuani in his face. Now it's going to be the Nocturne and the Rek'Sai who are just too problematic. And I mean, speaking of which, this engage that comes in here, you know, T1 had already backed away, the carry's winning position. The front line is kind of left to the Wolves here, and carry with no flash. Not sure what the cleanse was there from Viper.
It was Chains of Corruption, but I don't think you necessarily need
I don't think... I mean, maybe scared carry with Hex Flash?
Perhaps. And in the last moments there too, obviously there was...
집착맨이긴 해.
I don't know what I was talking over him. Oh, good fight.
That fight was really good, and I think it was Peanut just trying to give his team a little bit more reinvigoration in this series.
I mean, the Chains of Corruption were all that T1 could offer back in that fight, and Faker had already used the Weaver's Wall. I think if you have Weaver's Wall up, you can actually turn that maybe. And Hanwha Life just identified it really well. Peanut saying, hey, good calm shot calls there. That's the kind of shot calling we need to see. That's the kind of decisive plays Hanwha need to show us that they did show us against T1 and against Gen G. And they need to come back here if they want to go to this finals.
That's a rematch against Gen G. Like you mentioned, it was an okay series outside of that guy in the mid lane being quite pesky.
I mean, that's the thing is like, I feel like Hanwha Life make it. You know, if you find a way, I think like the tank Azir for Chovy was so impactful. Like I feel like they'd probably be pretty confident going in that rematch. You know, but this is the first hurdle, and I think that confidence has been shaken. So it's good to see the comms, see that they're sort of building it back up. The game is in a much better position now, I feel like, than we've seen.
And the fact that we pull those comms as well means I think everybody, including the Korean casters, are all on the same page. It's just that the shot calling has been a little bit messy here. Hanwha Life haven't been decisive. We have not really seen them make good plays around these objectives, often picking the wrong target, but that moment there brings them really back into the game here, still managing to keep that gold lead here.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that it's about keeping them together emotionally as well, right?
Yeah.
That's something that Peanut has been credited for in the past, but this is something they're going to need because it has looked like they've sort of emotionally got out of the series, especially in the last game. This time around, though, being able to grab those couple of extra kills and finding a 2-0 for their Azir. This is certainly going to be great if they want to get towards that Game 5 and those Silver Scrapes. But this is the thing. Right now is about the time that T1 find their first advantage in the game. It has been, at this point, very even between these two squads. And it's that first real leap that T1 has had for the last 2 games. And we'll see whether they can find it yet again. Yeah. Whether it's Half-Life Esports finding their angle and trying to feed their Zeri.
We'll see some big spikes coming in. The Leandri's finished for the Azir, the Runans for the Zeri. So a minute and a half until that Dragon. It's a big, and I think all summon's going to be back up.
Oh dear, Empress Divide just going to throw Carrier back. That is going to be one pick, but the Baron just spawned 30 seconds ago. Possible opportunity here, as they have so much vision denial as well, with things like the Paranoia, the information from the burrowing Rek'Sai. They're going to move over at least.
Yeah, it looks like that ward's just out of range of the control ward there, so that's a big boon for T1 here. They'll have that additional information. And this is a moment where you could make that call, but with Weaver's Wall being available, Owner having Flash, it's a really tough call to make. I think Hanwha probably rather just fight for this next Dragon here with their item spikes that were just mentioned there by Ox. And with the extra kill there, they get a little bit more prio. They can push through and set up for this 5v5. I think the Weaver's Wall is going to be their biggest opponent here, their biggest threat in terms of controlling the Dragon fight. Zeri, so strong right now against this Poke Varus. She can get the agency. This is just Carrier clearing vision here. Great trap set. And it looks like Hanwha Life just suddenly bounced back in terms of confidence, shot calling, trap setting. This is the team you need to see. They're going to bring it to 5.
Well, there is going to be some nice drifting coming on through there from Carrier. He's going to send the Rift Herald into the turret.
One thing with that previous play is you didn't get any summoners. You didn't really get, it's like too far before the Dragon. So I think,
yeah, it was a bit of an awkward time. And it's also the Baron had only just spawned. I was a little bit crazy talking about the Baron, but I think that this series has been enough crazy for that to almost be warranted.
I think that's warranted. I think you're definitely right. Is it looking to collapse on the door in here?
They might be threatening the Baron. They're not moving towards the Dragon area, so this will be taken by Half-Life Esports. Maybe they're just going to take this top tier 1, but the threat is there.
I mean, Faker, they have topside push, and Faker can just put up a wall if they do want to start this, but they have not, so I think they're just going to give up the Dragon here and look to try to push Doran.
Oh, Doran could be in so much trouble. There are 4 people coming on over. That flash hook just amazing from Carrier, the seismic shove to push him back in. And if they just keep him CC'd, he is going to die. That is going to do it. The Rek'Sai goes down. T1 get their pick, and they might also get a Baron.
Tough call to make here. This is not the same decisive 20-minute Baron we saw in Game 3.
Yeah, this is dangerous because Peanut's still here and he has access to a light switch.
Zeka has Flash ult as well. This is really risky.
Yeah, Paranoia does come down. There's a Flash Magnet Storm, but it's only on to 2. Delight not quite finding the same amount of value, and he is going to be taken down. It's now Viper versus Zeus. Zeus actually trying to tumble around this fight, but he's crashed into that Condemn. Amazing onto Zeka. As the Baron is going to go down, it's going to be Owner that takes it. Not able to find it is Peanut, and he's even taken down by Faker. Zeka gets rid of Carrier in the end, but they only lose 1.
Such a scrappy passage of play, but T1 holds strong, managed to secure the Baron and trade up in kills there. It just falls out of control in this passage to play. Duran, you know your team have lent bot side. Let the tower go. You're thinking because you're on Rek'Sai, you can't die, but your tunnel gets interrupted. And this mistake is what sort of causes the dominoes to fall in the ensuing play. T1 do a pretty fantastic job of trying to limit Peanut's access, keeping their health at about 4,000.
Carrier,
Zeus is just such a threat here.
Carrier has Locket, so he can actually commit to that play there to deny them entry and then continue to actually tank up the damage. And then the Condemn here into Zeka's attempted shuffle. So well timed, so well played. Zeus knows he has it, gets an extra auto, sets up for the Condemn, gets a knock into the wall, and it's a free Baron there. Faker gonna take Peanut out on the exchange, and yes, Zeka does get 1 kill here. With the Baron, they get the kill, and once again, just out-rotating Hanwha Life. Hanwha so shaky on the call to contest there, so late. And then Delight just not having the follow-up there, and they wanted to make sure they could do it during Paranoia, but the follow-up wasn't there from Zeka. He wasn't in range.
Didn't quite work out, and this is what we were talking about, right? This is where T1 just find these angles, find these avenues into the game. The first time it was much bigger. The second time, a little bit smaller. This time around, only about 2,000 gold. It's not the end of the world for Humble Life Esports, but the problem is that it's happened the last 2 games in a row, and the more it keeps happening, the more inevitable it feels, and it must be so difficult to hold on to themselves in this game.
They just test you constantly. They constantly test how much vision do you have, how decisive can you be in your shot calling, you know, how fast can you rotate. And T1 are always thinking one step ahead of Hanwha Life, and Hanwha are just trying to pick up the pieces, trying to catch up, trying to keep up the pace. And they're failing so far.
I feel like it's always been such a common trait of T1 to go for these risky Barons, and you can kind of get a test of the team and how they play out. You know, we've seen them at times fumble them, they end up backfiring, it ends up going really bad, but when they're on form, even when it looks messy, even when it looks hectic, the clutch, decisive decision-making ends up favoring them, and now sort of a fight over a red buff here. Not sure that's the objective.
Yeah.
You really care that much about.
It's a bit difficult, the positioning here. T1 a little bit worried about these choke points, as Delight has one heck of a flank angle. As information trying to be picked up here. Ona might be their target as Paranoia comes on in. Ona able to talk to the rest of his team. Crescent Guard does come out. He's taking a lot of damage, soaking a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough, and the kill goes over to Viper. There is the pick on to the jungler, but, I mean, what are you going to take? Yeah.
Baron's already gone. It was running out anyway, so T1 didn't have much time to use it anymore regardless. Dragon, Ona's going to be up from that. Oh,
Baker. Oh no, there's the face check. The crash down comes on in, and Peanut, he will be able to get the fear off. Yeah, he does manage to get the rocks down, but that is going to be the last auto, and that one might actually be impactful.
That's a bigger one, because although he has TP, the timing is close to Dragon, so you can see Hanwha Life Esports get complete control of the area before Fake is back up.
Zeus doesn't have teleport either, and there's not even a turret of gold for him to pick up here with this, so he's going to have to back off here and try to group up to try to contest that prio, as you mentioned. And that was just a great set of plays there from Delight and Peanut. And they are just not going to give up on this series. They are going to constantly force, they're going to constantly keep T1 honest. Has been a very scrappy game. But you see this from Delight. He has the Hex Flash set here with the timing of the Paranoia. It's basically perfect here. Not much you can do. Crescent Guard's going to buy some time as Faker uses Weaver's Wall here in a feeble attempt to try to save his jungler. Then comes over here, looks for the shove. He's like, oh, I'm safe. Nobody was in there. Well, this time did. Unfortunately, Delight avoids it, and he is taken out. And so we'll see what T1 opt into here for this next fight, because they really just don't have the same control they had moments ago. But as Zeus pushing down towards bottom lane here, Delight is on that flank again.
The Azir flank, they're looking.
Yeah, it's kind of massive. And Tremor Sense, remember, is going to be giving them a lot of information as well, as T1 not going to be able to sneak in, find these angles if Doran is going to be underground, sensing all of those vibrations. This is Soul Point. This is a massive spike.
This is IE's area as well, so this is really fast.
Yeah, really fast, and also it's 3 Mountain Dragons if they get this.
Ona is likely to be able to get in there, though. That is going to be the secure from Peanut, and there's the Black Magnet Storm. Delight getting in there. Viper is ulted as well, but the first kill is going to go over to T1. Delight now in trouble, and he is going to be taken out. And now Zeus, he is an 80 carry as well, and he's looking gigantic in this one. That is going to be him hunting down Viper. He is going to be able to help take down Peanut as well. The hook from Carrier is just too good. And T1 are going to strike again.
And cut your losses, take the dragon and get out of there. Doran's going in on this fight. And yes, you got 3 Mountain Dragons worth of resistances of tanking this, but you're not going to live that long. There's no ult from Viper. It's a split call on the play from Hanwha Life. Clearly so focused on securing the smite, but not what comes next. And T1 happy to punish on the play. As look at this setup here. Viper is in position when the Magnet Storm comes down to potentially follow up, but then he's like, ult comes through, not the greatest, and then they continue to try to push through and could have just taken it and gotten out.
And the thing with the Rek'Sai is you're only tanky if you're able to make use of the passive, make use of the tunnels. You have to get that healing in, otherwise you're just not that tanky against this composition from T1. So Doran goes down quicker than I think he expected, and the chase down potential, especially with the Vayne in the composition, is so big. And now I feel like they were, gradually getting it back, getting control of the game again. They get the 3rd dragon, and then boom, they just throw it all away, and it's T1's match again to win on match point.
Yeah, this is nutty. And Carrier as well, I feel like this whole game is like, damn, yeah, this Nautilus guy is like pretty good. Because in that last fight, he just presses Depth Charge, and he's like, well, I guess Yuzeri's not doing anything. At least not for the very beginning of that fight. That gave them enough time. And now Hanwha Life Esports find themselves on the outside of this Baron pit once again. It is pretty healthy at this point in time. T1 now setting themselves up for a little bit of a flank angle. Faker is moving around. Carrier not going to risk taking too much poke damage here as Viper takes down the blue buff. A little bit risky. They are going to back away.
Yeah,
they might just push mid.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a way better call. They have way more control of the mid lane. They could just shove this through and then maybe even look for a collapse on the door. And while Hanwha are split,
Yeah, there's a Hex Splash over.
look at Zan's damage onto this turret as well. It's just gone.
No, it's ridiculous. He's managed to complete his Trinity Force, now looking for his next energized item.
And I think you're kind of at the point where who's really going to handle Zeus in the side lane? I think it kind of has to be Zeka, just clearing the waves against him. But if you ever let Zeus just get, you know, free time in a side lane, obviously it's tricky because he doesn't have TP, but he will just murder turrets.
Yeah, rapid fire cannon now completed here for Zeus as well as, okay, HLE Esports looking to try and start this Baron off as Carrier finds himself a hook. There's the blast cone.
Tons of damage.
Interrupt the action.
Yeah, this is going to be fast here. T1 have to be decisive. Weaver's Wall ready for Faker.
Yep, Faker going to get that one in there as Delight off to the side. Not necessarily in the best position here as they dive over. It's actually Kobayushi again! Taking the Baron with the arrow! We've seen that one before. It's now pressing guard. Owner diving on in, and he just takes down Peanut. Matters into his own hands. And now Delight tries to go for the re-engage, but who's tankier? It is Carrier this time, and now Zeus. This is where he thrives. Viper just taking thirds of his health at a time, although dishing back a fair bit himself. And so Zeus going to retreat to the side lane, and the Baron now encircling T1. They're going to look for some turrets.
You see so many calls like this from T1 when Guma's on the Varus, where they just count down, count up in Korean. Hanadur said 1, 2, 3, and that is it. The 3, 2, 1 on the call there to look for the smite and the steal, and they do it so many times. It's not even luck. It's not even just it's just a T1 thing. This is so practiced by them, and they get it again.
That was perfectly timed from 1500. Yeah, that's nuts.
The thing is, I feel like if HLE Esports are going to make that flip, you need Delight there, and you need to try and sync the Q well with the smite. That is your secure. No one else really has the burst damage on your team composition on the Baron, so they miss the smite, and then here they just don't have anyone ready to jump on a Zeus, and obviously he does end up taking a lot of damage on the back end here, but dives away just in time to survive.
Wow, they just barely. Every time they get these Barons, they either win the fight on the Baron, or they secure the Baron, they steal it this time, and it just gives them map control, and HLE always backs against the wall. Over the last course of, the whole series, frankly, even game 1, against T1's map control, it's going to take another miracle for them to bring this one back. Now 8,000 gold the advance, 3,000 on the Baron. And it looks hopeless.
I think you always have to be a bit careful when Zeus leaves without having TP, because I think that's when immediately HLE Esports are looking for something.
Well, they are definitely looking for it now. Tunnel does come in to flash out immediately from Faker. He is not risking it. He knows exactly what you say.
But they just burn Paranoia with 10 seconds still dragging, so...
Oh, the Black Hook, and he manages to find Zeka! Free delivery with the seismic shove. Carrier finding the angle. That may have been the game-winning play.
Carrier, he's just taking this game into his own hands. He and Owner have had so many fantastic engages with his Locket, with Owner's Crescent Guard. They just go in, they're hell-bent on making the engages happen, and it works out. Zeus, will he be stopped?
Viper on a weird angle there, trying to see whether maybe they could layer some CC, but it's not going to work out. The Zeri with the man disadvantage is just not going to be as scary in these team fights. Unlike Esports, they lose yet another inhibitor this series.
And now it's a 10,000 gold lead between the two teams. Absolutely massive at this point. They're going to be able to pick up that third dragon as well. And HLE Esports, it's feeling so rough. I think a big problem is when you fall behind with a composition like this, you're relying on being able to jump in on the Nocturne, having follow-up, and going on a target without summoners. But, Faker obviously doesn't have his flash, but isn't an easy target to get on top of. There's so many threats on this composition. Faker has the Seeker's Arm Guard. It's just going to make it so impossible. And here, just a beautiful combo. We actually have a Zhonya's for Zeka, and he doesn't get to use it. Didn't preempt it against the hook, and once you get hit by the first bit of CC, you got to change.
Yeah, you're just not going to want to go golden there after you're already in the fight. It's going to be a waste of a cooldown.
Not to mention the fact that the ult was on Viper. Still gets the knock-up on Zeka, obviously, but it means that there is no re-engage opportunity at all. Yeah. It was so, it's also just checkmate.
It's really fast for the travel time, If you ult Zeka, it's actually a little bit slower, but if you ult through, there's no delay, no opportunity to even go golden, so...
And he has the Locket instantly, so there's no way to even burst Carrier down in this moment as he puts the shield on his entire team as well. It's just so clean. And once again, T1 just taking full control over the map. 2 minutes until Baron, so just looking to threaten this top turret, but it's going to take a miracle. Again, last time
We've said that before, haven't we?
Yeah, in game 1, you know, Owner was caught. He was looking for an engage on the Viper. He was shut down a second time, and then Hanwha got the miracle comeback. You know, a game that seemed surely lost. But this time around, again, I just don't see it. Owner has been so clean on the Xin Zhao this game.
Yeah, and also even able to soak so much more damage as well. Xin Zhao just has this habit of living, and he's been doing it again. Zeus as well. I mean, I think Vayne Spotter's going to be quite thirsty at this point in time.
Yeah.
It's been pretty clean, 1-0-6 on the Vayne. His Vayne was absolutely extraordinary when he played it last time around, and it's only improving.
We haven't had that sort of result where he's just completely taken over the game, but the threat is always there. Like, the fight starts to get towards the end, and suddenly Zeus is like, okay, cooldowns are unavailable. A couple of people are dead for the enemy team. Now it's my time to clean up, and it makes it so hard. If Unalive Esports, they can't just lose a member. If they start losing a fight, T1 are able to chase them down and punish so heavily, which is typically a trait we attribute to Zeri, but T1 kind of giving them a taste of their own medicine, and with this much of an advantage.
That's the thing, Dogs. You know, I mean, Viper hasn't really been able to have that straight-up long Zeri fight where he cleans up the kills because there's just too many threats, there's too many ways to kill him, and the fight is already lost before he gets to have that moment where everyone on T1 is low health. He just gets two-tapped by the Vayne, and that's the end of him, so he has to kind of play back. Doesn't outrange this Vayne really either, and I mean, it has to be, again, a miracle play from Zeka. I feel like he has to have a Chovy moment himself. You know, he was sent to the lower bracket by said miracle plays from Chovy. Now he's going to have to come up big on his own. An Emperor's Divide onto some of these carries, or potentially knocking carry away when he's trying to look for one of these engages is Hanwha Life's best window back into this game. But even that seems like a far cry. You see the gold lead here across all lanes now for T1.
This is the problem, is that, like, Unalive Esports have Viper, who's strong, and that's really it. Whereas, even if, like, I honestly think it might take not only just like a good shuffle, but like you have to hit like at least two, I feel, of the key members of T1. Like it has to be like Faker and Goomer or Fake and Zeus or something. I think if you just get one, you just lose off the back of that regardless.
Yeah, I think they have to kill someone within a paranoia, 100%. That needs to happen, and then you need to try and win the ensuing fight after a sort of reset that has to come in. Like, there are a lot of boxes you got to tick.
A lot of ifs.
One is enough. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. A lot of ifs, a lot of hopes, a lot of dreams.
Whoa, that is a large amount. That's a lot of gold as well. For Zeus, who's now just completed his Infinity Edge.
They're doing Door and Dirty. It's not fair to compare the damage numbers there.
That's
a Rek'Sai.
I mean, he's also been Flame Horizon. He's been giving all of his waves to Viper because he knows where his bread is buttered. He knows who's going to carry this in the late game for this team if they are going to get there. That cheeky little ward is certainly a good one, giving them a lot of vision
I feel like
on this Baron.
The changes to the Baron terrain that we got at the start of this year, there's a lot of creative spot checking rewards, and we've seen both teams got to utilize. It's now being played out. They still have the Scuttle, that'll help out a bit. They're just going to push mid and try to force T1 to respond here. Dragon's 50 seconds, so they can try and stall out for that, where they have a bit more control over the area for now compared to T1.
The problem is Hanwha Life don't really have poke. T1 do, so every time Hanwha tries to come over and push towards T1 and threaten them, T1 are like, I have strong engage, I have Weaver's Wall, and I have Varus poke, so checkmate. Zeri just feebly trying to use poke here from Extendo Beam. And it's just not making the same impact here. Owner taking a fifth of his health, but it will be able to just walk it off here, does not care. T1 going to back away. Teleport here for Faker. And let's see what Hanwha Life can get done here. They have insane speed in which they could take this dragon, but the timing window here, it's not like it's spawned yet. The fact they have Prio doesn't necessarily matter. They need picks, they need kills. Where's that Emperor's Divide, Zeka?
Like also wave has been like a consistent theme of the games against T1, where T1 just have better handle of these side waves, set up the objectives, and it's just golden XP being lost from Life Esports, maybe in a tower if this goes on longer. They do have control of the Dragon area, but
Dragon area control is important though, because Mountain Soul with a quad stack, that is a lot of defenses. Of course, they have a Vayne. She can cut through pretty comfortably, but T1 are looming. And yeah, like you said, I mean, Faker, he's got the wall. He can just build that. He is going to put that one together now as Peanut is now in this pit. Can they win the smite is the question. Great spell shield comes on down, and that's the engage here from Owner. He tries to hold on. Hook not really doing too much, but it is Owner that takes the soul for T1. It's gigantic now because they're the ones with the shield. They're the ones with the control. And the Hook is going to find this Zeri. She is able to press that cleanse flash button, try and get himself out of there. But it's Delight that falls to flank angle from Zeus. The flash The tumble and the Vayne is going to find the fight. He goes invisible and snipes out the Zeri, and this man maybe should just become the AD carry. So
There's
good.
the cleanup from the Vayne you needed. A fantastic grab from Carrier, kicks off the fight. You know, Life Esports thought T1 got the soul and walked away, but once again, T1 have controlled the game, controlled the series, and are now looking to end.
16 out of 18 KP for Carrier, and it looks like T1 have done it. Another finals. The Gen Z T1 prophecy, it just keeps delivering. And on the 6th time of asking, T1 will do it again. Another grand finals.